Chapter 3. The King and Queen of Fire. Soraya quickly leaped back and landed in front of the small crater she had made. I understand that I didn't use my full strength just now, but even so, he should have been forced back a good distance. This feeling... Am I getting excited? Just who is he really? Soraya thought to herself as she stares at Sigma. What's this? Done already, my friend? Sigma asked Soraya. Don't get too confident because you stopped one attack. Try this on for size, Soraya said as she begins to swing her blades in a pattern at alarming speeds. Soraya rushed after Sigma while her swords remained moving in their rapid patterns. Just before Soraya got him within her blades, Reach Sigma had switched his sword's position from the back hand style back to the normal front style and got into the basic kendo stance, Chudan no Kamae. The basic stance for kendo that places one foot in front of the other. The foot in the back has the heel slightly off of the ground, his left hand grasping near the bottom and the right hand grasping the top of the hilt, having the blade sticking out slightly at an angle in front of him. The first strike that came from Soraya came crashing downwards, but was easily parried by Sigma. The second came from the left with two blades moving in parallel, but Sigma redirected the two with another easy effort. The third attack this time came with three blades rising from Sigma's bottom, right yet. Once again, Sigma was too fast for Soraya and deflected the three blades. With each strike made by Soraya, Sigma would meet it, a redirect the blow. Are you kidding me? He's deflecting every attack I make as if it were child's play. Not to mention he's doing it all with just one sword, and he still hasn't moved from where he is standing. I'm using all of my strength here. Yet, why am I getting so damned excited? Soraya said in her thoughts as a large, devious smile shows on her face. Quite the expression you have there, Sigma said while deflecting the attacking blades in the usual calm manner. I can't help it. This feeling, I haven't felt like this since... Soraya started to say, but paused and her expression changed as she leaped back away from Sigma. Your expressions change like the wind's constant flow, my friend, Sigma said, remaining in his kendo stance. The look on Soraya's face is that of concern. As she glares at Sigma, her extra arms and all of her swords begin to disintegrate. This caused Sigma to lower his guard in slight confusion. Are you finished already, Soraya? Sigma asked. No, I don't. There's something bothering me, Soraya replied. And that is? Sigma asked. Soraya did not answer, rather she raised her right hand and almost instantly did a small ball of fire appear in her hand. The small ball of fire then began to grow to an enormous size, and it would most definitely fill the room with overwhelming heat and illumination. Everyone that has the area surrounded could feel the heat and immediately began to sweat little by little. What in the world? Commissioner Joe Adams said, responding to the extreme heat rise. What the hell are you doing in there? Alana wondered through her thoughts. Soraya, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you get any hotter than that, I am fairly certain that you will cause those very flammable-looking barrels to explode, Sigma said, remaining calm and seemingly cool in the heat. I know. If they explode, it will not have any effect on me, but I bet it will have an effect on you and the people surrounding the area, Soraya said. Oh, Sigma simply replied as he came out of the kendo stance and stood normally with his sword once again over his shoulder and left arm resting over his other sword that is still in its sheath. Moments later, the barrels did in fact react to the heat and blew. The shock wave caused cracks to appear on every wall in the building, the ceiling started to crumble, windows shattered, and everyone outside was forced to the ground due to the shock wave. All of that conspired yet. The flames that were supposed to have travelled all around never left the building. In fact, the first one to regain consciousness is Alana, and as she looks at the building, she sees an unbelievable sight. Well, there's something you don't see every day, Alana said. The flames that would have engulfed the entire area were being held inside of the building. At each window, at every crack, there were flames urging to burst out and eat everything in its path. It's as if they were being held against their own will. As everyone in the area slowly got up and witnessed the unexplainable occurrence, the flames slowly began to retract themselves. Every inch of the walls were turned a deep black. Barrels and old equipment were turned to dust, with little trace of them being there in the first place. As the fire finally contracted back to its place of origin, Soraya is shown to be unscathed, but with a look of overwhelming disbelief on her face. The flames were being absorbed by the crimson sword that rests on Sigma's shoulder. Soraya gazes as the fire passes through the air, over Sigma's uniform, in every direction possible, and ultimately end up in the crimson sword. The end result was the crimson sword, and Sigma being fully covered in an ever-flowing flame. "Amazing!" Soraya said in amazement. Sigma then swung his sword a few times before he placed it in its sheath. Only then did the flames disappear. "I think now you realize that fire has no effect on me," Sigma asked a baffled Soraya. Before Soraya could even think about responding, her facial expression once again changed, but this time to a look of extreme joy. This only brought confusion upon Sigma. Are you all right?" Sigma asked. "Master, my master," Soraya said as she began to burst into tears and ran for Sigma without further delay. Sigma remained confused as to what truly caused Soraya's sudden change like the others before, but remained in his calm composure. As Soraya leaped for Sigma, she closed her eyes because she expected to be in his grasp with her face pressed against his chest, but she was met by something unexpected. Instead of a nice and solid chest, Soraya found her head to be buried in a pair of soft cushions. This doesn't feel right at all," Soraya said as she then groped what she did not know at first. As she opened her eyes, Soraya found herself groping a pair of rather large breasts. "Where'd you crawl out from?" Soraya said as she stepped back, immediately releasing her grip to examine the female that came out of the blue. This female has bright sunset orange mixed with red hair colour flowing freely down her back, has on a crimson-red bikini top, a crimson-red dress that begins just below her navel and reaches down to her feet, completely covering them, and has a crimson eye colour. "I'd be most grateful if you would keep your hands to yourself. Especially off of my king," the mysterious woman said as she rests one hand on her hip. "K-King?" Soraya said. "Yes, my king being Sigma," she replied. Soraya glances over to Sigma and notices that one of his swords is missing. "You must be one of my master's underlings. What do they call you again?" Soraya asked. "She is of the Manifest race. Her name is Moeru Ju, and she is not my underling. Ju is a close friend whom I treasure dearly," Sigma said, stepping to the side of his ally. "Moeru Ju. The Manifest are beings created from the very elements and/or unique powers that they utilize, and these swords are also created with a linked human form. Both sword and human body reside on different planes of existence. While in human form they can fly, bear superhuman strength, and carry a special ability of their own. Only the Manifest can decide who may wield their bladed forms, and if the connection between the Master and the Manifest is strong enough, the Master gains the abilities of the Manifest that they wield. For example, Sigma can wield the power of fire and cannot be harmed by any flame because of his Manifest. Moeru Ju, Burning Queen, which has the ability to absorb and manipulate fire. Some Manifest, however, instead of granting abilities, give side effects. Whatever harm that is done by the Manifest can be undone by the Manifest and its wielder, and the only thing that can kill a Manifest is another Manifest. "Oh, my apologies, my master. I did not mean to disrespect you in any way," Soraya said as she gets down to one knee and bows her head. Ju couldn't help but to crack a small grin upon her face. She then grabbed Sigma's head, buried it in her chest, and began to smother him. "It brings me endless joy to hear you say those words, my king," Moeru Ju said in her alluring nature. "Hey! Get your grubby hands off of my master," Soraya yelled. "Search the area and find out where that blast came from," said one of the officers from inside of the building. Seconds later, a group of them came in, searching the room with their guns pointing and lights flashing. Yet Sigma, Moeruju, and Soraya were nowhere to be found.